What's going on, guys? Flynn1 back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing another pickups video. As some of you may know, I just got back into collecting again, and it's been very, very exciting. And it piled up pretty quick considering we've been going out and kind of going to different thrift stores and stuff like that, me and my fiance. So I got a lot to show you guys. Not going to go into descriptions on too many of the items, and some of the items I don't know much about, but I picked them up because I've been wanting to get into them. So let's go ahead and get right on into this. I got some movies, got some games, a lot of really cool stuff. So let's go ahead. Okay, to start things out, let's get into kind of the odds and ends here. The first thing I picked up, and this was one of two sets that I got. As some of you know, that I'm making a main machine. It's going to be a universal gaming machine that can play everything from Atari all the way up through the N64, maybe some GameCube and PS2, and then it's also going to play coin-operated arcade games. But so a couple of the things I needed were some controllers for the Super Nintendo. I plan on getting these for various different systems. I've already got USB for the Nintendo entertainment system, so I got two of these, and then I just got these in the mail for the Super Nintendo. I have some N64 ones on the way, I think. Or I'm going to be getting some for the N64, and then, of course, for the Atari and other stuff, so you can play on the go pretty much. So that's pretty cool. Not too bad, about 12 bucks. Okay, so when we went thrift shopping, we ended up picking up a huge lot for very, very cheap. We ended up finding some pretty cool stuff, and one of the things that we found was something that I was needing, and that was a Guitar Hero controller. I love the Guitar Hero series, played it a bunch on the PS2, but as of late, I didn't actually have a controller, and I don't have a PS2 at the moment because I'm having to start my collection pretty much from the beginning. So we have a 360, and we needed a Guitar Hero controller for the 360 games, and so we picked this up. It was literally a dollar for a 360 controller. I'm not sure if it works yet. I haven't got tested out, but we need the USB adapter, which I have a Rock Candy controller, so I can just take the end of that and plug it into this. It turns to a USB, so I should be able to plug this in no problem and play it. But seems like it functions pretty well. Everything seems to have still some wear, or not much wear on it, and it has some pretty badass stickers on it. So very excited. Plus, I love the Explorer model. I really do. If you guys don't know, I do play guitar, and I've always been a fan of the Explorer. So this is a really cool pickup for me. So last little thing that we have for the weirdness that isn't kind of like part of like the digital media stuff is I'm a huge fan of Ready Player One. I'm a huge fan of the book, as you guys know. I'm wearing the hat. I always wear the hat. I got Parzival bracelet and all that stuff. I loved the movie, and I'm going to be doing a review on it soon, but as you guys know, I love the book, and I ended up falling in love with the movie. And what better way to celebrate my love for Ready Player One than to actually own the keys? These were released by Funko. They released on April 1st, and I had these pre-ordered, of course. I also have like one of the keychains and stuff like that, but this has the copper jade and crystal key, which if you guys have noticed on my Twitch channel, if you become a subscriber, you get one of the keys. You get the copper key for level 1, the jade key for level 2, and level 3 subscribers get the crystal key. So I thought it was kind of cool, but I wanted a physical rendition of the keys. These are bigger than I thought they would be. But they're really like nice quality. Of course, they're plastic. It's a Funko product. They're vinyl, but it is a really cool thing to have on my shelf, and it's just really epic how they kind of made these. And they were Hot Topic was giving them away for a little bit. You would get one of the keys randomly for purchasing a Ready Player One product, but I had to have all three because I'm planning on making a Shadowbox, but I'll have to find a metal version of them somewhere. I don't know, but really cool addition to my collection. I'm loving that. Okay, let's start off with the consoles before we get into this big old stack of movies here. We'll get into the consoles and then some of the games for the console. Basically, the way I'm going to start collecting is I'm going to start collecting for the consoles I own, which is an Xbox or Xbox One, Xbox 360, and my computer. But I wanted two specific consoles to collect for. So I picked the way I'm going to collect is I picked one handheld and I picked one console, and I'm going to collect for those. And then once those start to become harder to collect for, I'm going to move on to another handheld and then another console. So the handheld that I picked, and I actually got it for a really good price, is the Nintendo DS. I actually picked this up for $20, not too shabby there. And it's a DS Lite. The reason I went with the DS Lite instead of the original DS and the DSi, I think it was called, is because it's a little like smaller form factor. It doesn't have those big creases in it like the original DS did, and it's a lot easier to hold in your hand. But it also plays Game Boy Advance games. So I could collect for the Game Boy Advance and I can collect for the DS, and I kind of cheated with that a little bit. But I mean, $20 isn't bad. These go for about 50 to 60 as they are. It didn't come with a stylus, so I had to get an aftermarket stylus, and I already have one game in here that I've been playing like crazy, but I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, not too shabby. Collecting for the DS now. And the Advanced. Now, to go along with that DS and Advanced, I have picked up quite a few games for it. If you guys are curious where I got my recommendations from, I get them from all over the web in terms of YouTube channels, stuff like that. A couple of the recommendations I get are from like Radical Reggie, Metal Jesus Rocks, Alpha Omega Sin, The Game Chasers. I always go to a lot of those to find good recommendations. So that's kind of where I went with these. Let's start with the DS games themselves. One of the first games I picked up was WarioWare DIY. Not the best game on the planet. I'm still learning how to play it, but of course it's a WarioWare title, and I thought it was kind of fun, so I had to pick it up. I mean, it was only a couple bucks. The next one is Hotel Dusk 215, Room 215. So I get to adjust here. But this game I actually only picked up for about $10. And I got this recommendation from Metal Jesus Rocks. He has some great videos on hidden gems for the DS, Advance, and stuff like that. So a good buyer's guide. So this was a great one to pick up from him. Very excited to look how to play it. It's actually one of those games that you tilt the DS to the side and kind of like a book. I thought that was really cool, and I decided to pick that up. Not too expensive. Now the game I've been playing the most is actually Scribblenauts. Picked this game up for $10. It's actually really fun. This is where it started out, was on the DS. So it's basically a game that has a lot of different puzzles, and it's kind of set up as a world base, and then you pick the levels in that world, and they're different challenges. You have to type out different items to use to solve these puzzles or complete actions. And while it does look like a kid's game, it gets kind of morbid and has a lot of adult things, like you have to hide a corpse, and you can kill things by just creating a dragon or stuff. Just look into the game. It's really fun. I've been having a blast playing it. All right, to get into some of the Game Boy Advance games, we'll start off with one that I have, I've always been curious about. I'm a huge fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh games on DS, and this label is crap, but I picked it up for $1. All right, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon and Dice Monsters. I picked it up for like a couple bucks, and the label is completely torn to crap, but it's actually a game I've been wanting to play for a while. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on the Game Boy Advanced, and I played like the World Championship. I played Sacred Cards. I played all of them except for Destiny Board Traveler and this one. And I was always really cool. I always thought the idea of the Dungeon Dice Monsters from the show was a cool thing. And I never got into the physical version of it, but I always tried to hunt this down. And I just either couldn't find it or it was too high of a price. But luckily, this was in the bin, and I picked it up for a few bucks. Very excited about that. The next one I picked up was BattleBots Beyond the Battle Box. This game, I was a huge fan of the BattleBots TV series on Spike, and realized they made a couple Game Boy Advance games, and it's kind of hard to control, it's kind of hard to play, but it's that nostalgia factor, so I picked it up just a couple bucks, not too shabby. These next two games are collections. This is the Namco Museum and the Midway Greatest Arcade Hits. Of course, I've been getting into retro games a lot. I've been really like tightening down on some of those old arcade coin-op games, and these are two great collections if you want to play some of the older ones. It's got stuff like Root Beer Tapper, Sinistar, Joust, as well as like some of the Pac-Man games. Both very cheap to pick up right now, and both highly recommend if you're a fan of this whole coin ops. Now, these next two games were my steals. I actually got Mega Man Battle Network. This was one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games when I was a kid, and I played the living crap out of it. Mega Man Battle Network was probably one of my favorite series as a kid as well, because you got to see it was Mega Man in a different light. He basically went into the net, and you had this little device that you could insert chips into to make him more powerful and defeat viruses. It was a really cool concept, and they ended up making, I think, 6 of these, and this was the hardest one for me to find because it's the very first one. So I'm glad I picked this up. Me and my buddy Chris, if you guys remember one of my old Game Chase videos on my old channel, we were searching for this. We went searching for this for the longest time, and I ended up finding a copy, and I actually got it for a steal. The thing I got for like $6, and it's like right around 20 price range. The next one was another recommendation from Radical Reggie and Metal Jesus Rocks. This is Riviera from Atlas. If you guys know the company Atlas at all, they are a very big JRPG company. So anything from Atlas is usually a good game. So the minute I saw Atlas, I had to pick it up. And I remember Metal Jesus Rocks and Reggie talked about it. I don't exactly remember what it's about, but I knew it was on their recommended list, and it was Atlas. I had to grab it. Only paid about $4 or $5 for it. Not too shabby. The last 2 Game Boy DS games that we have here are in box. This is Oryx and Elves. This is kind of an ode to the old school, like DOS-style RPGs, where you're in the caverns. A very old-style computer game, which they did a port over to the DS, so I'm very excited to play that. And then this one I know nothing about, but it looks like it could be good, and I don't have very many RPGs, but this is Tao's Adventure, Curse of the Demon Seal by Konami. It looks like a really interesting RPG, kind of within 64 graphics kind of thing. And it's made by Konami, and I've never heard of it, so I picked it up, complete in box. Not too shabby. One of my first complete in box DS games, so very excited to check that out. Now, this next console, I am very excited to own. I've actually never owned one of these 100% myself. I've shared one, played it when I was a kid, and I loved it. And I'm so excited. This is the console I'll be collecting for. That is the Atari 2600. The local game exchange here in Clarksville, Tennessee, has a lot of Atari games, but they didn't have any consoles. So the district manager from the area of game exchanges had a couple of these up in his Louisville, Kentucky store, and he found out I wanted one, and I got in touch with them to see if they could send it down to me or what it would take for me to get one. And he personally brought this down for me. This is the Atari 2600 Vader model. And it is all plastic. It looks nice. It's kind of smaller, not kind of heavy like the Heavy Sixer. The interesting thing is a 4-switch is where they switched they took 2 of the switches off the panel here and put them on top. Then you have your 2 control ports over here. I'm very excited to get to play this because the games are timeless. There's so many really good ones you can put in your collection. The controller is just so much fun to use. I mean, it came with the original controller, everything, and it works really well. I'm very excited to actually get to start collecting for this console because it's kind of where a lot of people start. It's what a lot of people are familiar with, and it's just so much history with this console itself and the company. I'm just super ecstatic. I'll be definitely collecting for this one, then eventually going to the 7800. And the coolest part is there were a couple different variations of controllers you can get. You can get the traditional joystick, but the other one was this weird little thing, the paddle, which was a little. They have the driving wheel, the driving paddle, and then the regular paddle. This one was for like your games like Pong or Warlords. You use this, you have your fire button on the side, and then this one has a it's almost 360-degree turn radius, but then it stops. The driving wheel actually rotates kind of like an RC car as well. So I need to find that one, but I actually got a set of 2 paddles that day, so I got one for 2 players. Now, you can't have a console without a few games, so I picked up a few different games, and I have more on the way, but these are the ones I have. With the Atari 2600, the original Heavy Sixer, one game came with it, and it's a game that had a lot of games in it. I think it had Yeah, 27 different game modes on a cartridge. That is insane to think about. But I got combat. Now, it's not the original one that got boxed. The original games that came with the original launch of the Atari in the 1970s, they actually had little numbers on the side. So this is a reissue. But I had to get combat considering it's one of the very first Atari games and it came with the system. Gotta have some Space Invaders. Love Space Invaders. I love all these games. And these games are pretty cheap. I only paid like $2 for each of these games. That's what's insane. Got Space Invaders. As you can tell, the glue is starting to kind of deteriorate underneath it, so it makes the label a little weird. But this game is the one I probably play the most out of the three I have right now. It is so fun, and you can adjust the switches to do different game modes. The only problem is somebody wrote on it. So, but I mean, it's still playable. It's still nice to have in the collection, and it kind of shows that somebody else used to own it and enjoy it. Now, the last game is actually something that I would love to do a review on at some point, and that is the Sword Quest series. I got the very first game in the collection, that is Sword Quest Earthworld. Sword Quest was this competition made by Atari, which was set to have 4 games. It was the first console video game competition where you would complete certain tasks and then send in your video submission and then go in and compete live. And they were giving away prizes like a sword, a crown, a philosopher's stone. And it was just really unique, especially for the times. And what's sad is the contest kind of fell apart due to the video game crash. And the 4th game was never released. So there's only actually 3 games, and some of them are hard to find. This one's the easiest to find, but I'm so happy to have it in my collection. And it's also one of the silver cartridges. You'll notice that there's various different types of games, and they're all branded differently. So it's going to make for a really fun console to collect for. All right, to get through this big stack of stuff, we're just going to go through them one at a time. I'll talk a little bit about them, and we will move on. So during our thrift haul, we actually picked up the controller, but we had to pick up the Beatles. I mean, the Beatles are an epic band, and they got their own Rock Band game. How epic is that? So, had to have the controller. Got the Beatles. It's probably one of the best Guitar Hero Rock Band style games out. This one, and then of course Rock of the Dead. But very excited to have this one, and it has a bunch of their top songs on it. I might do a Let's Play of this one. Maybe. We'll see. Let me know in the comments. Now we're going to get into some movies, some Blu-rays, a couple VHS. For you kids who don't know what VHS tape is, you're about to find out. But getting into some of the movies, we have 2001: A Space Odyssey. Again, a very timeless classic. Mentioned in a lot of references, mentioned Ready Player One. So, of course, have to add it to the Ready Player One collection. Next one is No Country for Old Men. Picked up this one because me and my fiance love a good psychological thriller, and a lot of mental therapists or a lot of psychiatrists did this study of watching a bunch of different movies on which is the most realistic mental case, or which psychotic villain is the most realistic. And while yes, Hannibal Lecter is one of the most entertaining, they say that they're unrealistic. And this is the movie that actually actual psychiatrists and therapists said was the most realistic in terms of somebody that is psychotic. So we had to pick this up because of that fact, and we really want to kind of see, because my fiance is a psych nurse, so we kind of want to see like the similarities and kind of what the difference is here. So very excited to get to check this one out. Now, kiddies, gather around. This old fat man's got a story to tell. We got VHS tapes, and yes, we used to watch movies on these. This is a VHS tape. Has little magnetic band under there, and it has video on it. They are very old, but of course I had to get Short Circuit. Found this during the thrift haul. It was literally $1, and if you don't know what Short Circuit is at this point, Google it, YouTube it. It is a fantastic video, and I love to have the collection. Of course, I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, so I used to actually have a couple of these. I had the one where Gohan pulled the sword out, the Z sword out, and this one is the Evil Boo. These VHSs had about 3 episodes on them, so you had a wide collection if you were trying to collect these things to get all of the episodes. Now you can just buy a DVD that has like half the season on it. But this has episode 239 to 241 when Evil Boo becomes a thing, and it's it's very entertaining because it's the one where Majin Buu eats himself and then becomes Super Buu. So very excited about having that one. Don't have a VHS player, but that's kind of how it's gonna work. But of course, had to pick up Monty Python and the Holy Grail because sue me, I didn't have my copy anymore. I lost it. Some bad stuff happened, and I didn't have it anymore, so I had to pick it up. And it's the special edition, which has both discs, has a bunch of extra features on it. Very excited to actually have it, and it does actually have both discs in it. So very excited to pick that up for about $5. Not too shabby. Back on the psychological thriller thing, we actually picked up two movies. I picked these up for my fiance, Red Dragon and Hannibal. In the last one I showed you, we got Silence of the Lambs. So there's only one we are missing, and that is Hannibal Rising. And that is the entire Hannibal Lecter series. If you guys don't know who Hannibal Lecter, look up fava beans, and I guarantee you're going to find something on them. But we got the special edition of this one, and then the collector's edition of Red Dragon. So I'm a huge fan of collector's editions, huge fan of special editions, and because they come with so much extra features, it's pretty amazing. Okay, now this movie I have not seen. And I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for it, but I've not seen The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I've read the book, have not seen the movie. So bought it just in terms of not being able to say that I haven't seen it anymore. So very excited to get it. And plus, it has Bilbo Baggins in it. You can't go wrong. All right, the next one I'm not going to go on too much about. Everybody knows Samuel Jackson. Everybody knows the movie Pulp Fiction. I actually found the collector's edition for under $5, and it was on a buy two get one free. So of course I had to pick it up. I have the original VHS, but the collector's edition had extra features, and it's just a fantastic movie and one of Sam Jackson's and John Travolta's best roles, I think. So, and of course it's a Quentin Tarantino film. All right, this next one, I'm a huge fan of movie sets, and as you guys have seen, there's a lot of like 4 action, 6 action, 6 sci-fi, everything like that. This one I thought was actually pretty fantastic because it comes with Waterworld, Children of Men, Skyline, and Doomsday. 4 very good movies. Well, I wouldn't say they're like fantastic movies, but 4 very entertaining movies that I would love to add to my collection that I didn't have any of these separately, so I decided to add them to my collection as a 4 set. Of course, buy one. It was on the buy one get one deal. All right, going on into the next one, we have a couple Blu-rays here. With the Ready Player One kick in full swing, I've gotten a bunch of movies that were mentioned in Ready Player One, so we're going to go ahead and get on into some of those. We got Blade Runner, of course, one of Harrison Ford's best roles. We got the Final Cut Blu-ray. I mean, I haven't had it. I haven't ever owned it on Blu-ray. I own it on DVD, but had to get the Final Cut on Blu-ray. Then, of course, we have The Dark Crystal. Fantastic movie ever since I was a little kid. I love this movie. And it's just an HD remaster of Jim Henson's Dark Crystal. Fantastic. Okay, this one got super ecstatic about. It's the original King Kong on DVD. I have a few different King Kong big monster movies that go along the Godzilla sets, and then you can't forget the original big guy. You can't forget King Kong with Rampage coming out. I mean, this was like $3. I had to pick it up. Done deal. Next one is The Iron Giant, one of Vin Diesel's most unknown roles, actually. But The Iron Giant made this big debut in Ready Player One in taking place of Ultraman. So this is very exciting, fantastic movie. You guys get to check that one out. Of course, we have one of the best movies of all time, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's about a kid taking a day off from school, playing hooky, and getting into a lot of trouble. One of Matthew Broderick's best movies besides War Games. I would honestly check this one out if you hadn't already. For the younger generations, definitely worth a watch. All right, now another one that I haven't seen in a long time, but mentioned in Ready Player One, is Weird Science. It's basically about these 2 teens that pretty much make a woman. If you're curious about it, go look it up. It's a fantastic movie from the 80s, and I just had to pick it up because of the sale for Ready Player One. Now, this I actually haven't seen, but the cover looks fantastic, and I know there's like 4 of them, I think, and that is Phantasm. This is Phantasm Remastered. But it's a very interesting. It looks like a very interesting movie. I don't know much about it, but I'll let you guys know when I actually do get to watching it. The next one, of course, is Conan the Barbarian. I used to watch the show back when I was a kid, and I loved it. And of course, you had Conan, young Hercules, Xena Warrior Princess, And this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of his best roles, I think. And it's just humorous, but it's great. It's a good adventure. And it's pretty much where my love for Conan started, was with Schwarzenegger. So it's very good. All right, the last one we got, it's actually a new movie, not related to Ready Player One, not related to pretty much anything else, but of course I had to add it from my Marvel selection. That is Thor Ragnarok on the Blu-ray multi-screen edition. I had to pick this up because I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I really want to get ready for Infinity War, so I had to pick up Thor Ragnarok because I didn't get to see it in theaters. So anyways, guys, that's it for the pickups video today. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys have any questions about any of the stuff that I went through, feel free to leave me a comment down below. If you guys liked the video, hit that like button. If you guys didn't, hit that dislike button and let me know why you didn't like the video. But I plan on doing some more of these. I plan on going more in depth on some of these, maybe breaking them up into different parts so I can talk more about the stuff that I've actually. I might break them up into parts so that way I have more time to talk about the individual items and a little more backstory on each of them, why they relate to me. But all of these things I do love and I do hold very close to my heart. So I appreciate you guys for getting to share that with me. I find it the utmost honor to get to share that with you guys, and I hope you guys do enjoy this type of content. But I'm gonna get off of here. I gotta put all this stuff away. So, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me for this long, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.